You know, usually when you think about taking on a global tech monopoly, you imagine this like multi-billion-dollar war chest.
Right, yeah. Armies of lawyers.
Exactly. You picture armies of software engineers out in Silicon Valley, decades of brand building, and just this almost insurmountable mountain of capital.
For sure.
It feels like trying to build a skyscraper with a plastic shovel.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But what if the secret to beating the biggest players in the world isn't about outspending them? What if it's actually about outlocalizing them?
That is the million-dollar question. Or, well, I guess the billion-dollar question.
Right. Because today we are diving into a ride-hailing market in Saudi Arabia right now that is projected to hit $5.6 billion by 2034. And the real shocker is who is actually winning that market.
Spoiler alert, it's not who you'd expect.
Exactly. It is not the global behemoths. A homegrown app named Kaiian is rapidly outpacing giants like Uber.
And that victory, it's not happening because Kaiian, reinvented the wheel or spent $1 billion on R&D.
Yeah, definitely not.
They are doing it by leveraging what is essentially a highly sophisticated, localized clone app.
A clone app.
Yeah, a clone. I mean, it is a masterclass in how a hyper-local solution can completely outmaneuver a global monopoly simply by understanding regional nuances and regulatory frameworks better than a boardroom sitting thousands of miles away.
Okay, let's unpack this, because for you listening, we want to make this actionable. The goal of this deep dive is to explore how entrepreneurs can capitalize on this specific market by using a Kaiian clone app. It's essentially a shortcut to launching a highly scalable, localized business.
Exactly.
But to understand how a localized app actually takes over a market of that size, we need to look at the geographical strategy first, right?
What do you?
Because Kaiian is operating in over 60 towns and cities across the kingdom. You have the major hubs, obviously Riyadh, Jeddah, Makkah, Medina, Dammam. But the critical advantage is their presence in dozens of smaller secondary cities, places like Tabuk.
Right, and that is exactly where the Silicon Valley algorithmic approach starts to completely break down.
Outside.
Well, global players, they play a volume game. Their entire unit economics model is built around hyperdense mega cities.
Like New York or London.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Places where drivers are perpetually moving from one fare to the next within a super tight radius. But when an algorithm designed for San Francisco is applied to Tabuk, where the population density, the transit habits, and even the peak demand hours are vastly different, it just fails.
The math doesn't add up.
Right. The wait times get way too long, the drivers don't make enough money, and the global giant effectively abandons the territory because, well, it doesn't fit their global spreadsheet.
Which leaves this massive vacuum. But, I mean, if you are a local entrepreneur, you can't exactly spend 18 months and $2 million coding a bespoke platform just to capture the market in Hail or Najran.
No, absolutely not.
Math doesn't work for you either. So this is where the concept of the clone app comes in.
Yes.
And for anyone listening who builds products, I like to use this analogy. Think of it less like building a custom home brick by brick from absolute scratch, which takes forever and costs a fortune.
Oh, yeah.
And think of it more like buying a high-end, prefabricated modular home. The foundation is perfect, the plumbing works, and you just customize the paint and the layout to fit the neighborhood.
What's fascinating here is that is the perfect mental model for this. A Kaiian clone is a ready-made, white-label software solution.
Right.
It replicates the core operational physics of a massive ride-hailing network. So the real-time dispatching, the geolocation routing, the payment processing, but it leaves the branding, the pricing logic, and the regional execution entirely in your hands.
So you're not reinventing GPS.
Exactly. And you're getting an ecosystem. A true clone isn't just one app. It's actually 4 distinct synchronized components.
4 of them.
Yeah. You have the passenger app, the driver app, the admin panel, and the dispatcher web panel.
Okay, I want to push back on the terminology here, though, because the word clone carries a lot of baggage. To a sophisticated tech audience, it sounds kind of like a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, I get that.
It sounds like a buggy piece of code you buy on a sketchy forum that is going to crash the second you get, like, 50 concurrent users.
Right, right.
So if this software is actually going to handle a multi-city transit network, what is actually under the hood? Like, prove to us it has the horsepower.
That's completely fair.
Ah.
And it's the ultimate question, because the software has to be incredibly robust. So let's peek under the hood at these 4 components.
Okay.
In the passenger app, You aren't just sending a basic ping to a server. You are handling real-time, high-frequency GPS tracking on a dynamic map interface.
Which takes a lot of processing power.
Tons. Plus, you have dynamic surge pricing engines built right in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that means the algorithm is constantly calculating local traffic congestion, driver availability, and rider demand to adjust the fares in real time locally. It also has multi-language and multi-currency capabilities baked in for scalability.
But the feature that truly separates a localized clone from, say, a generic global app is the specific cultural UX built into it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like, for example, the family wallet. I'd love to drill into that because this is where the Silicon Valley blind spot becomes glaringly obvious.
Oh, totally.
Because in Saudi Arabia, the household financial structure is often very different from the West.
Precisely. You frequently have a family structure where one individual, say, a patriarch or matriarch, manages the entire transportation budget for the extended household.
Right.
That could include teenagers going to school, elderly parents, or domestic workers. Now, if you use a generic global app, every single one of those individuals needs their own account tied to their own credit card.
Where you have to constantly share login credentials, which just triggers security lockout.
Exactly. It's a nightmare. But a localized clone solves this natively. It allows the primary user to create sub-accounts under one master corporate or family wallet.
That is so smart.
It is. The primary user sets spending limits, they authorize rides, they get transparent receipts, while the family members just open the app and request a car. It mathematically and culturally fits the specific needs of the region in a way that a rigid global platform simply doesn't.
And that hyperlocal focus extends to the supply side too with the driver app.
Right.
Because when you look at the mechanics of the gig economy in these secondary cities, a lot of the workforce is transitional.
Yeah, very much so.
Drivers need an instant availability toggle so they can seamlessly flip between working full-time and part-time. They can just jump online for 2 hours after their primary job, grab a few rides, and log off.
And while they're online, the app is providing smart, in-app Google Maps navigation. So it's optimized for local routes to reduce fuel waste.
Crucial for driver margins.
Absolutely. Plus, there's an earnings dashboard that breaks down their daily take-home pay, commission cuts, and tips completely transparently. But, neither the passenger nor the driver apps function without the third pillar.
The admin panel.
Exactly. The admin panel. It functions as the nerve center. Basically a citywide control center.
Right. You get real-time fleet tracking where you can monitor every active trip on a live interactive map.
Yeah.
But the true value of the admin panel isn't just, watching dots move around a screen. It is the automated driver onboarding and, crucially, the fraud detection system.
Which is critical because platform integrity is everything. In ride-hailing, fraud can take a lot of forms.
Like what?
Well, you have drivers manipulating GPS locations to trigger artificial surge pricing. Or you have collusion between drivers and riders using stolen credit cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The admin panel uses pattern recognition to flag those unusual behaviors, like a ride that ends suspiciously quickly, or a driver who keeps matching with the exact same passenger over and over. It immediately suspends the accounts pending human review.
Because if you don't catch that immediately, the platform collapses.
Exactly.
If passengers are being overcharged by ghost rides or drivers are getting their payouts delayed because of chargebacks from stolen credit cards, the ecosystem dies.
Trust is your actual product. The software just facilitates it.
That's a great way to put it.
And in Saudi Arabia, that trust isn't just about good vibes and accurate surge pricing. It is legally mandated by the government.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This bridges us perfectly into the regulatory environment.
Oh yeah, this is the big one.
Because you can have the slickest interface, the smartest surge algorithms, and the best family wallet feature in the world, but if your app isn't compliant with the national transport laws, you are dead on arrival.
100%.
And the specific hurdle in Saudi Arabia is an integration system called WASL, W-A-S-L. Break down for us why this is the ultimate make-or-break feature.
Okay, so WASL is the official national transportation data system. It's operated directly under the Ministry of Transport. And to be crystal clear, compliance is not a beta feature you can add in version 2.0.
It's not optional.
It is mandatory from day one. If your platform is not fully integrated with WASL, you face catastrophic fines, legal action, or your entire operation will be forcibly shut down.
So what does that integration actually require on a technical level? Like, if I'm launching a platform, I need to know how deeply the regulators are embedded in my tech stack.
It requires a massive, continuous, secure data exchange. First, Driver verification. Every time a driver attempts to onboard, the app must ping the national WESL database to cross-reference their identity.
To make sure they're legally allowed to work.
Exactly. And that they have no disqualifying criminal history. Second, it requires real-time vehicle registration checks.
Right.
The system verifies the exact make, model, and year of the car against government records to ensure unsafe or unauthorized vehicles aren't operating on your platform.
And it goes beyond just onboarding, right? It's a continuous tracking mechanism.
Yes, the third component is a real-time data fire hose. Your app has to securely transmit all trip activities, the exact GPS coordinates of where the driver is moving, the moment the ride is accepted, the duration, the final drop-off location, directly to the regulatory servers in real time.
Which explains the heavy tech stack requirements. If you have thousands of cars simultaneously pinging GPS coordinates every 3 seconds, and that data has to be instantly routed to a government API without crashing your own app, you can't run this on a basic shared server.
No, absolutely not.
That is why the infrastructure behind these clones utilizes technologies like React Native for the front end and Node.js for the back end, which is specifically designed to handle thousands of concurrent asynchronous connections.
Right.
And it's paired with PostgreSQL to securely manage the complex relational data like matching writer profiles with national registry IDs, all hosted on AWS.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, WESL is actually a massive advantage for local clones over generic international scripts.
Really? How so?
Well, by having WESL compliance built in from day one, it acts as a competitive moat. It ensures safety, filters out unlicensed drivers, and aligns perfectly with national standards. It protects you against cheap, non-compliant competitors who try to enter the market and just get shut down.
So what does this all mean for the entrepreneur listening right now? With the technology and the legal framework understood, you're probably wondering exactly what it takes to actually launch this business.
Right. Time, money, strategy.
Exactly. Walk us through the actual cost and the step-by-step rollout.
Okay, let's break down the costs first. You basically have 3 tiers. A ready-made script will cost you between $1,500 and $8,000 and takes 2 to 6 weeks to deploy.
Okay, pretty cheap.
Yeah. Then you have a custom build, which is building from scratch. That's $50,000 to over $200,000 and takes 12 to 18 months.
Way too slow.
Exactly. The sweet spot is the middle tier, a white label solution. This costs between $5,000 to $25,000 and takes 4 to 10 weeks.
That's incredibly accessible for an enterprise-grade platform.
It really is. But you also have ongoing costs. Server hosting is going to run you anywhere from $200 to $2,000 a month, depending on scale. Payment gateways take about 1.5 to 2.9%. Plus, you have your map APIs and Apple or Google developer fees.
Okay, so the tech is relatively commoditized and affordable. But what is the actual blueprint for launching? Because having the app is only half the battle.
Right. It's a 6-step process. Step 1, define your business model. Typically, starting with a 15 to 25% commission is best.
Okay.
Step 2, register the business and get your transport licensing. Step 3, choose and customize your clone app. But step 4, this is the most critical part, driver onboarding.
This is the cold start problem, right? Driver liquidity.
Exactly. A ride-hailing platform is a two-sided marketplace. Having an amazing app means nothing if the passenger opens it and sees 0 cars. You need to secure a baseline of 50 to 100 active drivers per city before you even launch.
Wait, how are you getting 100 drivers to drive around empty streets for an app no one uses yet?
You subsidize them. You offer guaranteed hourly minimums just for having the app turned on. You take 0% commission for their first 3 months, whatever it takes to avoid long wait times on day 1.
Because if a user opens the app and sees a 20-minute wait, they delete it.
Immediately. They go right back to Uber. Once you have that driver liquidity, then you move to step 5, which is a soft launch and QA testing.
Just to make sure the WASL integration doesn't crash.
Exactly. And finally, step 6,
Yes.
the public launch. This is where you deploy aggressive growth marketing. Referrals, free first rides, social media campaigns targeting local pain points.
It is a meticulously planned operational sequence. You buy the modular structure, you plug it into the city's oversight grid, and you spend all your energy and capital on managing the actual neighborhood.
Perfectly said.
So, to summarize everything for you listening, we have a booming $5.6 billion mobility market in Saudi Arabia, and the barrier to entry to capture a slice of that is no longer a massive multi-year software development cycle.
Not at all.
By combining a fast-to-deploy WASL-compliant white label clone with a hyper-focused local operational strategy that prioritizes driver liquidity, You literally have a blueprint to build a highly scalable business that can systematically dismantle global giants in regional markets.
And, that reality leaves us with a much broader implication, something we haven't even explicitly touched on yet.
Oh, what's that?
If highly localized platforms like Kaiian can use cultural nuances, like that shared family wallet, and specific regulatory integrations to outmaneuver multi-billion-dollar global giants like Uber,
Mm-hmm.
what other massive global monopolies are currently vulnerable to a highly tailored regional clone approach?
Oh, wow. E-commerce, food deliveries.
Streaming services, logistics, any global monopoly relying on a one-size-fits-all algorithm is suddenly exposed.
That is a phenomenal thought to chew on. Where is the next Silicon Valley giant going to lose their footing because they just didn't understand the local landscape? It's the ultimate giant slayer model.
It really is.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. For everyone listening, we always love exploring the hidden mechanics of how the business world is actually shifting with you. Keep questioning the conventional wisdom, keep looking for the local advantage, and keep diving deep.